Oh, Jesus. Get out of it, you fucking mongrel. Get out of it. It's not your place. It's not where you should be. Know your role. Alright, just move. Good, that's a good... Okay. Hello YouTube, how's it going? Recently I've had this looks kind of weird, but this stops the thing from falling off. It's pretty good. Recently I've been on quite a long hiatus. I've had a 3-week, almost a month break from having any videos on my channel, which is the longest break that I think I've ever had on my channel. That's because I was on a 3-week honeymoon in Australia, and I'm currently putting together, I think, quite a funny travel video about that. And another video I'll have soon is about George Orwell's Homage to Catalonia, and the relationship of Orwell to socialism, and what socialism means, and all that sort of thing. Homage to Catalonia is a very interesting book, which gives you a lot of information about what George Orwell actually thought about socialism, and I would love to discuss that in a video. But in the meantime, I have to put some content on my channel, so here's just a shitty idea for a lazy video that I had. And this is on the topic of white people or non-minority people saying to African Americans or gay people or trans people or whatever that you disagree with their opinion, and whether that's okay or whether it's a form of, you know, whitesplaining or mansplaining or whatever. Recently I got in a disagreement with a African-American YouTuber because there's this YouTuber who is obsessed with putting out like racist memes, and his defenders always say, well, you know, he's not racist, he's making fun of racists. But I think at a certain point, if you keep depicting or showing or putting forth racist imagery, at a certain point it's kind of weird. It's like, why are you so fixated on these racist stereotypes and ideas? They're not the kind of things that I would want to continually put out there and say, hey, look, here's this fucked up racial stereotype, what do you think? And the guy even said in his tweet, you know, this racial stereotype, or this stereotype of what different races think of other races, in my personal experience, is accurate. You know, what is the purpose of what you're saying? It's just to spread a stereotype, in my view. And that's why I was like, you know, it seems to me that this guy is racist, because he's obsessed with racial imagery and he's always continually putting it out there. Now, a lot of people disagreed with me. They were all like, oh, you idiot, he's challenging racial stereotypes. He's saying it's stupid, and he's saying that there are racist people in this particular group, and he's just exposing that or whatever. Putting that shit aside, because it's just like a circular argument that just results in just going around in circles of me saying, yeah, but he's putting out the racist imagery, and then saying, but he's challenging the racist imagery, and then me saying, but he's also propagating it, saying it's bad, but yeah, but he's also fixated on this racial imagery, so it just goes around and around in circles. I received an interesting reply from someone who was African American, and they said,
on Twitter, social justice types like Kevin Logan and Tim Bloke and these other people had their panties in a bunch. The reason why they were upset was because of this particular meme. A civil discussion about African history and culture between Africans. Oh no, here comes the African Americans. We was kings! Einstein was black! We built pyramids! As you guys can clearly see, that meme was a joke. However, the social justice people accused him of being racist. They were like, oh my fucking god, how can you possibly represent African Americans that way?
stupid dumb fuck.
Firstly told me through private message if it's okay for him to post that image. He also told me if I find it offensive, he'll remove it. Why would a racist ask a black person if it's okay to post that image? Personally, I do not think that we should self-censor ourselves for comedy. Some of you guys are pussies and clearly have no understanding about Afrocentrism.
And I said, I totally disagree with you. I don't think just because in your experience this person is not racist, that means they can't be racist. Just because you are part of that group. You know, oh, you know, people who are truly racist can't be friends with people of that group. I think that there are degrees of racism. There are racists who are like, I can never be friends with, just pick one out of a hat, like a Jewish person or whatever. And then there are other people who are like, I can be friends with a Jewish person on an individual level, and perhaps that person is less racist than the person who can't be friends with a Jewish person, but they're still thinking at the back of their mind, you know, he's one of the good ones. Like, he's one of the Jews that I can tolerate. He's still, like, Jewish, you know what I mean? Like, Jews. But this individual, you know, I don't mind them. It's the other Jews I have a problem with. That person is still racist. It's just, I guess there are degrees of racism, so they're not quite racist enough to not be able to be anywhere near a Jewish person or be friends with them, but they still are a racist. I mean, I guess it's preferable to a different type of racist, but anyways. So I said I disagree with that person, and then a whole bunch of people, including some, like, major douchebags like Sargon Vakard, who, you know, won't even, like, talk to me because he's blocked me, so I can't even, like, defend myself against his bullshit, because he's a coward. He's like, oh, I'm gonna tweet about you from behind a block. I can't even, like, respond to the shit that he's saying. He's not interested in a dialogue with somebody like me, who he deems to be, like, oh, beneath consideration or whatever. Because he's very elitist, and he's very, like, pick and choosy about who he'll actually talk to. I'm too mendacious to talk to.
And I think if there's one word that would accurately describe him, that word would be mendacious. Tim, you hate me. You're a desperate attention whore. You are a regressive who is simply not interested in the facts. You must be awful. No wonder you're so insufferable, Tim. People find you unbearable.
Where they say, oh, look, there's this white man. There's a white man whitesplaining to this black person. And then all these comments were like, whitesplaining, whitesplainer, oh, you're talking down to this black man. What right do you have to, you know, talk down to him as a white person? And I understand they're doing like a political jujitsu where they play on me their idea of what I think, and then that's like some ownage point. Like, aha, Tim's one of those dirty social justice whatever, so he must think this, and now I'm going to own him by turning it on him. But the issue there is that none of these people ever asked, like, what I actually think about that issue. I have never, ever said that you are not allowed to disagree with someone who is of a certain minority. Even if it's their personal experience, you are totally allowed to disagree with them. I've never said otherwise, so it's very weird. And they'll say, but other social justice whatevers say that you have to agree with them. Whatever, they can think what they're different people than me. They can think what they fucking want. This made me think of a time when I was in an argument with someone and I was like, man, you're being a bit of a dick. And they were like, that's really transphobic language. Are you aware that I'm a trans person? And that's really like transphobic to say a dick or whatever. But I'd been involved in that conversation. I'd seen their point of view. I could see their politics. And I knew that was a total troll because they were an anti-social justice person. You know, they say they're against identitarian politics, and then they turn around and they try to use it as a form of jujitsu. So I turned around and said, I don't give a fuck if you're trans. At the start of this conversation, you were being extremely rude to me. You're acting like a douchebag. I don't give a fuck about your identity. You're a shithead. You know, and they went on and on like, oh my god, it's so transphobic. That's concern trolling. That's like pretending to care about something just to try to one-up people. All the people in this dialogue were just hardcore concern trolling. None of them gave a fuck about my views on, you know, how you can disagree with minority people without being like whitesplaining or whatever. Like, they didn't care about any of that. And that's why my ability to give a shit about those kind of gotchas is just like so low, I don't even care. Now, to talk about the substance of this issue, say you are an African American, just for the sake of using an example, and you say, like, in my experience, cops are very kind and they're very nice to me, and there is no white privilege and none of this stuff is really being used against me. I would say, like, yeah, I respect your point of view as an African American person. Like, I respect that that is your view on it, and that's how it is seen to you, so you disagree with a lot of other people. But there's also African American people who have had complete opposite experience, who have been profiled, who have been treated like shit, and who have been abused by cops. And while I respect the fact that, you know, you've got this opinion or this view as an African American person, it doesn't automatically discount all of these other African American people. And there was people in the Twitter chat who were like, I think that what this person said on Twitter was racist. Now, do I completely ignore those people because you are also an African American person saying that he's not racist? No. I have to look at how it seems to me, basically. I have to look into the situation, and if I disagree, I disagree. And if somebody says, I'm black and they're nice to me, that is fine, that's your personal experience, but it's also anecdotal, and it doesn't speak to the totality of information that is out there. And that's just playing identity politics, and I think that's ridiculous. Now, at the same time, does your point of view have more weight because you're a black person and they're not mean to you? I'm not sure in this case, because it is just a personal thing. It's just a personal view, it's a personal opinion. It's not as loaded as like trying to deny systemic racism or saying that there's no privilege either way. This is more of just a personal opinion about an individual, and I think it's very cheesy and cheap to start playing identity politics just about an individual, just about some random person. And it reminds me of when people say, like, oh, you know, I can't be anti-Semitic, I've got Jewish friends. I can't be racist, I've got black friends, I've got Asian friends, I've got, you know, whatever. Racism is determined by somebody's everyday attitude and feelings towards different races. It's not determined by whether you're capable of making friends with some people of a minority group. Now, as I said, there's shades to it, so that does mean that you're less harshly or less viciously or less openly racist than some other people, but doesn't mean that you're automatically not a racist. I wouldn't say so. Finally, on this topic, people said I was accusing this person of tokenism or being a coon, which is a really weird word that I've never used, except right now, and I went like that, so it's fine. Or of being an Uncle Tom. Now, I don't actually believe in calling people Uncle Toms or coons or whatever. I don't believe in that kind of stuff. So it's a terrible gotcha. Be like, huh, you're basically calling him this thing that you don't believe in. Well, I don't believe in that. Basically, I said that his argument was essentially, I'm black and he's nice to me, so he can't be racist. I stand by that. That's totally true, but that doesn't even imply that he's like a token. If he was a token, he would be a token to racist people who don't want to appear racist. He would be a token to those people. He's not a token to me. And to himself, he's not a token. To himself, he's just of the opinion that these are my friends and these are people I like. So that's not something I would accuse somebody of. He is aware of his own thoughts and feelings and emotions around somebody that he knows. But even if you're in a minority group, your personal experience can color your views on these issues, particularly when it comes to like interpersonal relationships. And even like black people who go on Fox News just to shit on or rag on black people constantly, and that's their role in life and they get paid for that.
It's shifting the blame, and not only on this, the cultures and the sensibilities of the black community, but you name the topic. You know, the achievement gap in schools is not because, you know, black kids watch twice as much television as white kids. It's because standardized tests are biased.
Right.
You know, black men are filling our prisons not because of black behavior, but because the criminal justice system is racist. Sure. This is all about shifting blame when it comes to these civil rights leaders, and they're not doing any favors for the people they claim to represent.
I don't see them as token black people in and of themselves. I think that they are people who have their own point of view and their own opinion. I just think that they are being used as tokens by the cynical people at Fox News, and perhaps some of those people are cynical themselves, like they want to cash in. They want to make that fucking money, you know? They can see that there's a market for African Americans shitting on other African Americans. But I wouldn't see that as like an Uncle Tom. I don't think it's my place to use that kind of rhetoric, you know? I can't see into people's hearts and souls enough to know that. I just know that there is an incentive for them to do that. And, you know, that's more like being a sellout. Less to your race and just a sellout generally. Just a financial sellout. Just pandering to people. And that doesn't have to be racial. I mean, that can exist whether you're white, black, orange, yellow, whatever. Yellow, sound good. But whatever, you know what I mean. That's my general rant on that. I don't believe in the concept of tokenism. I don't believe in the concept of Uncle Tom. But I do believe that people will sell out their values just to make a cheap buck. Or perhaps they don't have those values in the first place. Like, they don't care if the people they hang out with are super racist. They don't care if the network they go on perpetuates racial stereotypes. They don't care about that. And this is just Occam's razor. I don't know for sure, but yeah, they just want to cash in, they just want to sell out. That's just a guess, because that's the nearest it seems to me. So I respect the fact that you think your friend is not a racist, but just because I'm white and you're black doesn't mean I'm just going to automatically say like, oh, he's nice to you, therefore this person's not racist. That's bullshit. That's identity politics. It lacks nuance. It's a straw man of what I actually believe. So it's a very terrible gotcha. And it's cheesy. It's cheesy how anti-identitarians always turn around and play identity politics just when it suits them. I know, it's kind of like political jujitsu or something. Like using my own tools against me or something. But I'm increasingly just seeing that as lacking values, lacking intellectual honesty, not being able to just say things how you really think them, instead going for the cheesy gotcha. It's a nuanced issue. it's complicated. My views on it are complicated, and it's difficult to explain them completely clearly unless I spend more time on this video or more time thinking about this issue. But that's my general impression of that, and look forward to more content from me soon. Cheers.